It is Monday, November 25th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very early get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Monday. I opted for the earlier class as opposed to the class most likely to have the top instructor in it. It's a bit of a personal battle, because getting up really early is discipline, and I don't do it very often, but there's only a few things that I do it for. I do it for jiu-jitsu, I do it for work, and I do it for fishing, and that's about it. But yeah, so as far as what we worked this morning, it's kind of a blur because I've had a nap since. However, I do recall it was from the butterfly guard. And it was this transition where you go from your opponent kneeling to getting your opponent on their back with one of their legs locked up in like a similar to a half guard position, with the exception that if I had the left leg wrapped, I would have my left leg in between the two legs. They're my opponent's two legs and kind of triangled in there, and it's a good setup for like a few leg things. And I don't really have a leg game, and so any kind of refresher that I get on that is certainly needed, certainly wanted, and most definitely enjoyed. But yeah, I did go in on Sunday, in addition to the Monday, and I had a really good roll. I mean, I tried to take it really easy, and I certainly was more focused on defense as opposed to offense. And at one point, I was feeling confident enough to start morphing my defensive moves into setups for offensive moves. So, like, while I'm blocking one thing, I'm negating another, and I'm moving towards opening up some opportunities for me to get in the submission. And I found that with that approach, I was conserving a lot more energy, and I got some really good submissions. And they weren't as efforted. Although I did have one where I had the guy's arm, and he was on his back. I have his arm. I got both legs across him, but I'm fighting him for that arm, right? And so I've got the lock on his arm with my arms. I've got both of my legs crossed over his arms that he's got, where he's got his hands clasped together, and I'm trying to break it free there. And eventually, that's exactly how I did get it. I just kind of pulled in a little bit tighter with my thighs and let up a little bit with my arms, and he thought that was like opening up a position for him to get his arms free. So as soon as that happened, he disengaged his arms, I pulled back on that forearm and got it. Got that arm bar. But yeah, I got a lot of arm bars this weekend. Got some arm bars, and I got a few Kimuras as well. Oh no, I'm sorry, Americanas. I always get those two confused. But yeah, I got a couple Americanas in. And that one, I was actually pretty sneaky in the way I set it up. And I think I surprised my opponent when I finally locked that in. But I felt really in command. I didn't feel like I was threatened at all. And I started feeling that way on Friday. That even though I was in a defensive situation, except for the last one, that was unwillingly in a defensive situation because my opponent was just that much better than me. I can admit it. My ego isn't that big. But anyway, yeah. So, like I said, I felt really dominant on Friday, with the exception of the last round of sparring that I did. But Sunday, I felt very confident and very locked in. My movements felt really tight and smooth, and it felt good. I had a lot of pressure on my opponent. They weren't getting up. It was doing the windshield wipers over and keeping the arm pinned down while I'm going for the other arm, and yeah, it felt really good. But I did manage to pull off the 180 armbar. I think I really like that setup. Like if you do it right, and the problem is I've been orienting some of the guys that I work with the way that I've been like planning that one out. And so of course when I start into it, they know exactly the way I'm going with it, and they try and negate that, and are usually kind of successful. Certainly more successful than I would like them to be. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music, get our first dance rolling on, and of course we're going to play some fucking body count, because that's what we do. And yeah, Monday, talk shit, get shot, here on Coin Metal. And that was Soundgarden with Jesus Christ Pose. Yeah. So, as far as what we're going to get into today, I was taking a look around, and I noticed something really kind of interesting, because I talk about this coin every once in a while, and it's USD coin, USC. I can only assume this is the same one that's put out by Goldman Sachs via Circle. Let's see here. The team, co-founder, USC, New York Forum, signature, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to find out if this is what I think it is, because if so, the valuation is a little off. Well, let's go to the official website. Proceed, yes, I understand. USC, US, okay. Oh yeah, this is obviously a scam coin. Oh wow. The solution to transboundary payment using blockchain technology. Oh wow. These guys are really trying to fuck themselves over. They called their thing USD coin instead of USDC, and that I guess that's how I ended up where I am here. But yeah, a better way to pay. USC is an encrypted digital currency that is stable, readily convertible, and secured by the United States dollar. Oh my god, they're looking to get themselves fucked with the elephant dildo. It has been created and is being used as one of the most advanced and sophisticated payment instruments available. Blockchain is an application for distributed data storage through point-to-point transmission, a consensus mechanism, and an encryption algorithm that archives consensus among participants without any third parties involved, enabling reliable transmission of trust and value at extremely low costs. While cryptocurrency is a media that transmits value in the blockchain, payment serves as an area where blockchain is most likely to produce real value. The price fluctuation of encrypting digital currency is a problem for applying blockchain payment to reality. By referring to the linked exchange rate system in Hong Kong and legal tender as a reserve, the cryptocurrency is issued on the blockchain in accordance with fixed proportions, while a payment gateway of exchange between legal tender and cryptocurrencies provided for all users, thus ensuring price stability of the cryptocurrency and reducing price volatility caused by speculation. Dude, this is bullshit. Yeah, I'm not going to continue to read this thing, because I was looking on an exchange listing, and let's see here. I'm on. Oh, where's the fucking page? Yeah, this is thenextweb.com, I think. No, that's not the one we are looking at here. This is cryptoslate.com, where I came across this thing. And what caught my eye is that it's valued at 37 cents right now. And it's during its last 7 days, it's gone down 16.94%. Yeah, I would expect this thing to get chased down ferociously because, let's see here. Technical details, it's an ERC20 token, so it's not even mined. Or at least it might not be mined. I don't think it's mined. But yeah, some Famunda cheese. But I noticed that a lot of the stable coins seem to be off at the moment. This is a listing of all of them. And let's see here. Tether is off by 1%. Or change over 7 days is 1.54%. Shit. That's pretty wild. Especially considering, and we got another article about them concerning some sort of legislation. Let me see if I can find it. I'll bring it up front. Here we go. Actually, I've got one article that I want to get into right before this. And this one is like close and near and dear to my heart. No, it doesn't have anything to do with fish or fishing. This is on herb.co. And let me make a minor adjustment here. North Dakota marijuana legalization would allow everyone in the state to sell weed. Who yeah! This is by Miroslav Tomoski. Check and verify something here. So yes, penis. Had to check his profile. North Dakota will get the chance to vote on the legalization of recreational marijuana in November, Secretary of State Al Yeager announced on Monday, August 13th. Oh, apparently this is pretty old. Oh, apparently this is August 15th, 2018. What the fuck? This one must not have passed or something, because I'm sure we would have heard about it. I don't know why this came up on my thing. But what caught me is that it said that everybody would be legal to grow. And I think that's a fascinating way to go forward on legalization, and I think it's the right way to go. Because I'm going to read it anyway, because even though it's old, this gives us an idea of or it gives you an idea, rather, what I think proper legalization legislation should sound like or should be focused on. Organizers of the North Dakota Marijuana Legalization Initiative, a group known as Legalize ND, handed in well over the required number of signatures needed to bring the question before voters this fall. Of nearly 18,000 signatures submitted by Legalize ND, 14,637 were verified by Yeager, around 1,200 more than needed. The measure is one of the most wide-ranging attempts at legalization in the country. If approved, the new law would legalize recreational marijuana without setting a limit on possession or growth and allow private citizens to sell cannabis whether they operate a business or not. The only limitations placed on the North Dakota marijuana legalization measure is an age restriction, which matches the legal drinking age of 21, and penalties for selling to minors, which are similar to those that apply to alcohol. Organizer David Owen of Legalize ND says his proposal is deliberately broad, requiring no funding or action from the legislature so that the new law can avoid the legislative roadblocks that medical cannabis has experienced. North Dakota voters legalized medical cannabis in 2016, but the government has yet to implement the program, having spent the last 2 years debating regulations, probably still debating them. Medical marijuana passed with 64% support, yet it seems that the voters are uncertain of North Dakota marijuana legislation when it comes to recreational use. According to polls conducted by Legalize ND and reported by the Washington Post, 46% of North Dakotans support the legalization of recreational marijuana, compared to just 39% who opposed it. Opponents of the measure have taken issue with the expungement portion of the law, which requires that the state seal or expunge all non-violent cannabis offenses from the state's criminal records. Legal experts who oppose the measure say it is poorly thought out and that it could inadvertently shield violent criminals. Quote, "You can't seal part of a case file. You can't seal one charge because the charging document would have both." Fargo attorney Mark Fries told the Grand Forks Herald of individuals who may have been convicted of marijuana-related crimes in addition to violent crimes. Legalize ND has taken the time to emphasize that those already serving time will have to serve out their sentences. Once they are freed, the state will have 30 days to seal or expunge their cannabis charges, and an additional 10 days to inform that individual by mail. If the state fails to do either, legal action can be taken against the state. Supporters of the initiative argue that North Dakota marijuana legalization will free up law enforcement resources, but the state's Attorney General Wayne Stanheim, Stenhegem? My apologies, sir, told reporters he opposes the legalization of marijuana because it will shift the burden elsewhere. It'll eliminate the burden, dude. That's your problem. Quote, "It could put pressure on the treatment providers because there are a number of people who are in treatment where marijuana is their number one drug of choice. That's probably not by their choice. So I think it might just shift the law enforcement issues from one place to another," Stenhegem told reporters. "I've said for a long time that I don't think if marijuana is legalized in North Dakota, we will be healthier or safer." Nearly all of the 9 states which have legalized recreational marijuana have done so at the ballot box. In January, Vermont became the first and only state to legalize through its legislature. Yeah, I think that everybody should weigh in on the issue, certainly via a public vote. However, I think that this is probably the sanest approach, and that's really the only reason why I wanted to go into this today, is that I think that if they made good on this law, that they would experience a lot less of the issues that other states do. See, one of the things that other states have done with regard to the legalization of cannabis is that they've created these very onerous regulatory roadblocks that basically keep people out of selling cannabis who are perfectly capable of growing and curing wonderful cannabis. But because they cannot afford the regulatory expenses associated with doing so legitimately, they continue to do so in the dark. And I mean, this isn't anything I would have to know personally. I mean, there's plenty of evidence, plenty of anecdotal evidence out there proving the same. Where they're finding massive shipments of cannabis that was either sourced in Oregon, Washington, or California, all 3 of which have legal recreational weed, and yet there's, it ends up in New Hampshire or some shit like that. It's like, how the fuck did it get over there? But yeah, I think that this is one of those markets that I think we've never regulated properly, at least since we started regulating such things as what crops people grow on their own property. which I don't really believe is the business of the state at all, honestly, because we're talking about food in most cases. There are other products that we get from plants and trees, but nonetheless, the point I'm getting to is that this is a maturation period for the cannabis market. Eventually, everybody will have to adopt the same stance that North Dakota has, and not out of choice. They'll have to because the current regulatory frameworks are inhibiting people from doing anything with regard to industrial hemp. And this is in fact why it was made illegal to begin with, was to take the ability of us to grow hemp away from us. However, I think it's kind of obvious to some that on the horizon is no gleaming empire run on oil. That the age of oil is in fact ending, and that we are going to go back to a more agrarian lifestyle. And among the things that are going to change is the base of our fuel sources. I believe that we're going to go back to hemp, and that long before the prohibition of hemp, motor vehicles did run on diesel that was derived from hemp oil. So, it's coming back full circle, I think. We're getting back into electric cars. We haven't been able to have electric cars for the last century. Mainly because they couldn't figure out how to put a toll booth between you and the sun, with regard to going electricity, like solar and all that. And as a matter of fact, I think that lack of concentration on renewable sources of electricity, I think that because of it, we are misusing the land and water, surface water anyway, of this country. That there's enough kinetic energy flowing through the rivers in this state to electrify the entire continent. I mean, the water is going to flow. You just got to put something that will capture it for just a moment, capture a little of that kinetic energy flowing down the river for just a moment. You don't even have to impede it. Just put something. It may create just a teeny tiny bit of drag, but not enough to slow down the river. And you could be generating electricity on it. See, I think if we were developing that mode of electricity production, since we could do it until date, we wouldn't even be considering things like nuclear, or it wouldn't even be on the map. You'd be like, dude, we got so much fucking electricity from the water flowing. Water's gonna flow. We just gotta trap a little bit of that pressure, a little bit of that PSI going down the river, and make it drive something. We've known about water wheels for centuries. Yeah, at least centuries. If not millennia. So, going back to that as a means of gathering energy and utilizing it, I think we're going back to that. Just because we don't have any choice. Oil has made things really, really easy for us. Things like the depopulation of the ocean is made possible by the plentiful nature of oil. But if you put it back, if you change the base of our fuels from something that is as easy as oil to something that you actually have to plant in the ground, and then you have to tend, and then you have to process, all of a sudden, concerns about jobs and whatnot is, are you going to have enough people? that you could easily snatch up all the homeless people and be putting them to work in jobs that are related to this industry, and they'd be making more than enough money to put a roof over their own heads. So, I don't know, that's just my perspective on things. But let's get into some crypto stuff, because I do have plenty of tabs for exactly that. And we talk a lot about iFinex and their smaller companies, Bitfinex and Tether. And apparently they're getting taken to the court again. And this is on CoinDesk. Crypto exchange Bitfinex and its sister firm stablecoin issuer Tether have again been accused of working to manipulate the Bitcoin markets. And this is by Daniel Palmer. And this is authored November 25th, 2019 at 15:30 UTC. A new class action suit filed by Eric Young and Adam Kurtz at the District Court in the Western District of Washington on November 22nd draws heavily from details that emerged in the case brought by New York Attorney General in April against the same two firms. It's also the second class action suit to have been brought in recent months, relying on the New York case, which is still ongoing as the defendants appeal over whether they must continue to produce documentation. The Attorney General claims, among other things, that the Tether USD stablecoin was not fully backed by US dollars. In a lengthy list of claims, Young and Kurtz specifically allege that Bitfinex and Tether, quote, monopolized and conspired to monopolize the Bitcoin market, as well as manipulated the market, manipulated information, or made inaccurate claims. Further, defendants' misconduct caused prices of Bitcoin futures and the prices of Bitcoin underlying the Bitcoin futures to be artificial during the class period October 1st, 2014 to present. Oh wow, they're digging deep. Young and Kurtz said, adding, quote, defendants' control of USDT issuances and Bitfinex permitted defendants and their co-conspirators to coordinate purchases and sales with rising and falling Bitcoin prices. When Bitcoin prices were falling, defendants and their co-conspirators printed USDs and artificially increased the price of Bitcoin. Once defendants and their co-conspirators artificially inflated the price of Bitcoin, defendants and their co-conspirators then converted the Bitcoin back into USDTs to replenish Tether reserves. Actually, that's bullshit. No, they didn't put it back into USDTs. They put it back into USDs. That's how they were able to infect the rest of the market with their price-fixing scheme. Continuing on, both lawsuits also cite a study authored by professors at the University of Texas at Austin, claiming that a single Bitfinex account used USDT to inflate the price of Bitcoin in the lead up to its 2017 all-time high of around $20,000. Yeah, that's also been widely debunked by a lot of people within crypto, including myself. In order for there to have been such manipulation on Bitcoin, you would have needed a lack of correlation with the traffic on the Bitcoin network, which you do not have. If you look at the volume of transactions that had accumulated in the mempool during the same period, you will notice a huge motherfucking spike. Continuing on. While the case has been brought at the federal court in Washington state, Young and Kurtz are based in Pennsylvania and New York respectively. Both say they are Bitcoin traders who traded at artificial prices due to the alleged actions of the defendants. Quote, at all relevant times, defendants, including the employees that conducted defendants' affairs through illegal acts, knowingly and intentionally made false statements to U.S. Bitcoin investors and the public for the purposes of concealing defendants' scheme. The suit states, further alleging that the defendants profited at the plaintiff's expense. Bitfinex took to its blog on Sunday to call the Washington case, quote, mercenary and baseless, and suggested that such lawsuits are, quote, continuing affront to the efforts and dedication of Bitfinex's customers and all participants in the digital currency ecosystem. No, they're not. Quote, As we predicted last month, mercenary lawyers continue to try to use Bitfinex and Tether to obtain a payday. To be clear, there will be no nuisance settlements or settlements of any kind reached. Instead, all claims raised across both actions will be vigorously contested and ultimately disposed of in due course, the exchange wrote. The U.S. Department of Justice has reportedly looked into the allegations of market manipulation for some time, but has not made any conclusions public. Yeah, I doubt they will until it's already too late. Until people have already started lining up in the courtroom for this. Now, let me see if I can find the actual lawsuit here. Oh, wow. Well, this is a little more on the lawsuit. Crypto traders' lawsuit claims Bitfinex Tether cost market over $1 trillion. Actually, I would say that's a conservative amount. This was actually authored on October 7th, 2019 at 1443 UTC. And this is by Nicholas D. So yes, penis. A new lawsuit claims crypto exchange Bitfinex and sister company Tether manipulated the crypto market, harming traders and benefiting themselves. Bitfinex and a number of affiliated entities engaged in deceptive, anti-competitive, and market-manipulating practices, resulting in economic damages for the plaintiffs, according to a lawsuit filed Sunday in New York. Notably, the plaintiffs who seek class action status claim that the total damages add up to more than $1 trillion, writing, quote, "Calculating damages at this stage is premature, but there is little doubt that the scale of harm wrought by the defendants is unprecedented. Their liability to the putative class likely surpasses $1.4 trillion US dollars. The lawsuit, filed by David Leibowitz, Benjamin Leibowitz, Jason Leibowitz, Aaron Leibowitz, and Pinchas Goldstein, are represented by Vel Friedman and Kyle Roche, the lawyers who recently won a federal case against Craig Wright, Bitfinex, Tether, DigFinex, and other current executives. Former Chief Strategy Officer Philip Potter, a payment processor, Crypto Capital, are named as defendants in the case. Quote, "The crimes committed by Tether, Bitfinex, Crypto Capital, and other executives include bank fraud, money laundering, monetary transactions derived from specified unlawful activities, operating an unlicensed money transmitting business, and wire fraud," the filing says. In the complaint, the plaintiffs further claim that Bitfinex and Tether shared false information about USDT being backed 1-to-1 by US dollars, referring to an allegation made by the New York Attorney General's office in April. It continues to allege that USDT was used to purchase Bitcoin to inflate the crypto market, spurring the 2017-2018 bull market and subsequent bust. Yeah, like I said, there's too much evidence that there was plenty of organic traffic on the network. So yeah, that end of it's going to be busted, I think. Oh, let me get back to this. Come on. Don't give me any bullshit. And this program sometimes just fucks with me way too much. Here we go. Market manipulation. Or wait a minute. In a statement sent to CoinDesk after this article was published, David Leibowitz said, quote, "As someone who has been invested in Bitcoin and the growth of cryptocurrency ecosystem, I believe that bad actors in this space have stunted development and consumer confidence." It's damn right. Market manipulation. In response to a request for comment, Bitfinex/Tether spokesperson Joe Morgan sent CoinDesk a statement published over the weekend, which stated that the companies expected a lawsuit based on, quote, an unpublished and non-peer-reviewed paper falsely positing that Tether issuances are responsible for manipulating the cryptocurrency market. It went on to add, quote, Tether and its affiliates have never used Tether tokens or issuances to manipulate the cryptocurrency market or token pricing. All Tether tokens are fully backed by reserves and are issued pursuant to market demand and not for the purposes of controlling the pricing of crypto assets. It is irresponsible to suggest that Tether enables illicit activity due to its efficiency, liquidity, and wide-scale applicability within the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Is that why you guys have such a hard time trying to find somebody who will actually audit your books and put their signature on it? You know, your last such auditor bailed on you. Continuing on. In a statement, Roche said, quote, there was an enormous amount of work put in by the lawyers of our firm, particularly by Joseph Delich, to research the facts related to the conduct outlined in our complaint. I look forward to working with my team as the litigation plays out. Allegations that Tether has been used to manipulate the cryptocurrency market have circulated for more than a year. In a study published last June, researchers with the University of Texas at Austin said Bitcoin's price rose after, quote, the Bitfinex exchange used Tether to purchase Bitcoin when prices are falling. The U.S. Department of Justice is reportedly looking into the allegations, though it is unclear if the department has drawn any conclusions at this time. However, another study published last September by the University of Queensland professor Wang Chun Wei found that while, quote, Tether grants were potentially timed to follow Bitcoin downturns, the actual correlation was, quote, not statistically significant. And we are going to read the full lawsuit today. Hopefully. Maybe. Possibly. Depends on how long it is. Because some of these can be huge. I'm waiting for it to load up. And let's see here. How many pages is this? 1 of 95? Hell no, we're probably not going to get through all of that. Well, I mean, it is double spaced and there isn't all that much information per page, so we may or may not try and tackle this bad boy tonight. I think we will, because, you know, we're that ambitious. I think we can do it. And just for your own information, it's on scribd.com. And, yeah, the plaintiffs, let's see, it's, it'll give us a case number. It's 119-CB-09236, document 1, filed 10/6/2019. And, we're probably going to do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down with some music, and then on the other side of it, we'll actually get into this bad boy. Maybe. I don't know, it depends on how cooperative it wants to be with me. And something's causing my program to hang up. Oh, there we go. There we go. Little fix. Alright, so as far as where to go on music, not entirely sure. I'm thinking maybe some Static X. Man, so many good songs. Damn it, Jim. So much good stuff. Let's go with Cannibal. Here it is, Static X, Cannibal, here on Coin Metal. And that was Cold Chamber with Loco. So as far as what we're going to get into now, I got this thing on Scribd, Cribd.com, and it is the second of 2 class action lawsuits against Tether & Co. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's see, class action complaint. Plaintiffs David Leibowitz, Benjamin Leibowitz, Jason Leibowitz, Aaron Leibowitz, and Pinchas Goldstein, individually and on behalf of all others similar situated, bring this action against iFinex.Inc., BFXNA Inc., BFXWW Inc., Tether Holdings Limited, Tether Operations Limited, Tether Limited, Tether International Limited, Digfinex Inc., Philip G. Potter, Giancarlo Davicini, Ludovicus John von der Velde, Reginald Fowler, Crypto Capital Corp., Global Trade Solutions AG, collectively defendants, and allege as follows. Number 1, introduction. The methods and techniques of manipulation are limited only by the ingenuity of man. Number 1, this action concerns a sophisticated scheme that co-opted a disruptive innovation, cryptocurrency, and used it to defraud investors, manipulate markets, and conceal illicit proceeds. Number 2, part fraud, part pump and dump, and part money laundering. The scheme was primarily accomplished through two enterprises, Bitfinex and Tether, that commingled their corporate identities and customer funds while concealing their extensive cooperation in a way that enabled them to manipulate the cryptocurrency market with unprecedented effectiveness. Number 3, founded in 2012, Bitfinex is one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, a marketplace for individuals to buy and sell various cryptocurrencies. Number 4, Tether is the central authority over the cryptocurrency Tether, or USDT, one of the world's first, quote, stablecoins. While most cryptocurrencies are not backed by tangible assets, because they are the tangible assets, stablecoins such as USDT aim to solve the volatility inherent in cryptocurrency by pegging themselves to a tangible asset held in reserve. Number 5. Together, Bitfinex and Tether manipulated a market that, by design, is supposed to be decentralized. Number 6. At the heart of the scheme was Tether's claim that, quote, that the number of USDT tokens in circulation will always equate to the dollars in its bank account. This claim enabled Bitfinex and Tether to signal to the market that there was rapidly growing demand for cryptocurrencies because each USDT printed represented another US dollar invested in the market. Number 7. This claim was a lie. Still is. Number 8. Tether issued extraordinary amounts of unbacked USDT to manipulate cryptocurrency prices. Because the market believed the lie that 1 USDT equaled 1 US dollar, Bitfinex and Tether had the power to manipulate the market on an unprecedented scale to profit from boom and bust cycles they created. Number 9. From 2017 through 2018, Tether printed 2.8 billion USDT and used it to flood the Bitfinex exchange and purchase other cryptocurrencies. This artificially inflated demand for cryptocurrencies caused prices to spike. Not entirely. 10. As the cryptocurrency market reached a fever pitch, Tether's mass issuance of USDT created the largest bubble in human history. When it burst, over $450 billion of value disappeared in less than a month. The fallout continues to affect the cryptocurrency market, including by causing prices to be lower than they would have been but for the manipulation. Number 11, as explained below, economists estimate from 2017 to 2018 as much as half of the growth in the cryptocurrency market was driven by Bitfinex and Tether's manipulative scheme. Number 12, in a brash display of lawlessness, Tether and Bitfinex continue to defraud the market, even in the face of an ongoing investigation by the New York Attorney General, the CFTC, and the Department of Justice. Number 13, fully aware of the incredible harm they've inflicted on the cryptocurrency market, on October 5, 2019, Bitfinex and Tether published statements where they generally described the allegations contained herein, admitted that they had, quote, fully expected to be sued, and stated that they, quote, would not be surprised if just such a lawsuit will be filed imminently. Number 14. Calculating damages at this stage is premature, but there is little doubt that the scale of harm wrought by the defendants is unprecedented. Their liability to the putative class is likely to surpass $1.4 trillion US dollars. Damn right. Parties. A. Plaintiffs. Number 15. Plaintiff David Leibowitz is a citizen of West Palm Beach, Florida. Since July 2014, David has held a legal interest in the cryptocurrencies Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash through his holdings in the Pantera Bitcoin Fund Ltd. During the relevant time period, David also personally owned the cryptocurrencies Ether and Litecoin. Number 16. Jason Leibowitz is a citizen of New York, New York. During the relevant period, Jason Leibowitz owned Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, Ether Classic, Litecoin, Bitcoin Gold, Ripple XRP, Stellar Lumens, Tron, Qtum, Monero, and you know, I could have swore I read a lot of that complaint before. Let's go ahead and get ahead of this shit. I don't really care how much they lost. Let's see here. B. Defendants. Digfinex. 20. Defendant Digfinex Inc. is incorporated in and a citizen of the British Virgin Islands. Digfinex operates as the ultimate parent company of the Bitfinex defendants, defined below, the Tether defendants, defined below, and is the majority owner of iFinex Inc. and Tether Holdings Limited. 21. The shareholders of Digfinex are Ludovicus Jean van der Velde, Giancarlo Davasini, Paulo Orduino, Philip Potter, Stuart Hogner, and Perpetual Action Group Asia Inc. Like I said, I could swear that I've actually read this before. The Bitfinex defendants, specs, and blah, 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 are owned and operated by the same group of executives that together operate on an online platform called Bitfinex for the exchanging and trading virtual currency. Plaintiffs provide more detailed allegations about these defendants below, but for the ease of reference and unless otherwise noted, this complaint will refer to these defendants collectively as Bitfinex or the Bitfinex defendants. Let's see. Defendant iFinex Inc. is incorporated in and a citizen of the British Virgin Islands. iFinex owns and operates the online cryptocurrency exchange called Bitfinex, accessible at bitfinex.com. It is also the holding company that wholly owns defendants BFXNA Inc. and BFXWW Inc. Defendant BFXNA Inc. is incorporated in and a citizen of the British Virgin Islands. It is the entity that interfaces with U.S. customers that want to trade on the Bitfinex exchange. Let's see here. Let me see what they're actually accused of here. Yeah, like I said, I want to say that most of this stuff I've already covered on this show. I mean, a lot of it looks really familiar. Well, yeah, I think we're done with this thing. We're on page 13 of 95, and like I said, from what I can tell here, there's there's very little new on this one, and I would be almost willing to bet this is the more or less the same case that was brought before, if not the same exact case. Factual allegations. Wonder if I should get into that. I'll let it go. I got plenty of other stuff we can talk about today. But yeah, that's it's interesting, and I'm really hoping that that this does go forward. I've stated for a long time now that I do believe that Bitfinex and Tether have been manipulating the price of Bitcoin, and only because if you look at any of the charts for altcoins and Bitcoin itself, and you look at it from the period before Tether came into existence, let's see, and on this it says Tether's first USDT issuance, October 6, 2014. So if you count it from that period forward, you'll probably see the lack of where it decouples with fiat inflation. Like if you look at the chart for Bitcoin, you can literally see the disbursements of quantitative easing number 1, number 2, and then like Operation Twist, and then there was another thing they did. I think it was QE Forever, and QE Forever was the last one they did before the massive spike in the price of Bitcoin. Okay, and then shortly thereafter, everything became decorrelated, and all of a sudden the Federal Reserve could print U.S. dollars like toilet paper, and nobody cared. You know, or at least nobody was the wiser that that's what was going on. But I'd be willing to bet that, again, there was no backing for the tethers being used or being brought to the market, and so they were essentially naked shorting Bitcoin. You know, they would buy the Bitcoin at a premium to them because they would be trying to inflate the price of Bitcoin on Bitfinex with Tether, and then they would take the Bitcoin to another exchange, such as, say, Coinbase or any of the other legitimate altcoin exchanges out there. They would sell the Bitcoin at a loss, but for US dollars. And then they would accumulate the US dollars elsewhere, like in their own pocket, to be spent on boats and hoes. But that's just my feeling, and I would be willing to bet that's pretty much the long and short of it. But anyway, there have been some other changes in cryptocurrencies recently, and yeah, let's get into this one. You know, the President Z statements concerning cryptocurrencies caused some weird reactions, and some are trying to claim that a lot of the last spike in the price of Bitcoin had something to do with his statements. But there's since been a crackdown on exchanges and services and whatnot, so you've got to really wonder exactly what they're trying to tell us here. And this is on Coindesk.com. Crypto markets overreaction to Z's blockchain remark prompts tougher crackdown. And this is authored November 25th, 2019 at 1650 UTC. Let's see who's up. This is authored by Wolfie Zhao. So yes, penis. Call it a self-defeating prophecy. When President Xi Jinping praised blockchain technology as an opportunity that China should pounce on last month, many took it as an auspicious sign for the cryptocurrency market in the world's second largest economy. This rosy interpretation led to the return of speculative fever surrounding not just major cryptocurrencies, but also alleged crypto pump and dump schemes. But that in turn has triggered another crackdown by local regulators targeting exchanges, projects, media, as well as blockchain and crypto-themed events, and dashing hopes for a crypto-friendly China. After rallying as much as 30% within hours of Xi's speech, the price of Bitcoin has fallen back to a level even lower than it was before his remarks, and dipped to a 6-month low below $7,000 on Monday. Quote, "I've called out countless times already that the initial pump is totally an overreaction, so a correction is well expected, especially under the known CCP carrot and stick strategy," tweeted Devi Wan, a founding partner at Primitive Ventures. In what has become a defining episode of the clampdown, crypto news site The Block reported last week that Binance's Shanghai office had been shut down. The exchange's CEO, Changpeng Zhao, initially denied that it even had an office in Shanghai, and took umbrage at the publication's claim that there had been a, quote, police raid. The Block later softened the phrase to, quote, visit by authorities, but sources told CoinDesk that Binance has indeed had a presence in Shanghai for some time. Dragon Television, a Shanghai-based local broadcast station, aired a program on Monday night, China time, that Binance's Shanghai office was closed, and added that the office was used by outsourced customer service staff and some developers. Quote, Aircoins. The local community was briefly rejuvenated by the leader's remarks. From November 8th to 9th, more than 4,000 people attended the World Blockchain Conference in Wuzhen, China, according to the event organizer, 8BTC. Speakers included representatives from traditional tech firms like Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, as well as those working in crypto exchanges, funds, projects, and mining businesses. Further supporting an optimistic outlook, a few days after Xi's speech, the country's top economic planning agency scrapped a proposal that would have recommended eliminating crypto mining from China, a global hub for such activity. But then Beijing began tightening the screws. On November 14th, the People's Bank of China, PBOC Shanghai Bureau, issued a notice to local government agencies in each district in the city to inspect and clear out businesses that offer crypto trading, fundraising, promotion, and brokerage services. It later officially published the notice on its website, stating that it plans to nip the growing crypto fever in the bud. And apparently this is a nationwide effort. On Thursday, the Shenzhen Municipal Financial Regulatory Bureau issued a similar notice, vowing to crack down on initial coin offerings and fraudulent schemes that use blockchain as a marketing gimmick without any technological substance. China's Central Television, CCTV, a mouthpiece of the Chinese government, said in an article on Sunday that this is just the beginning, as multiple cities including Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hangzhou have all started taking similar measures. To be sure, the crackdown has so far primarily targeted what the state media called, quote, air coins, referring to those that are issued out of thin air without any real team or development, as well as smaller exchanges that would pump and dump these coins' prices. A Chinese government-backed report last week even claimed that 25,000 out of the 28,000 blockchain firms based in the country issued cryptocurrencies via illegal fundraising channels. As a result, multiple state-owned media, including CCTV, Xinhua, Economic Information Daily, and Securities Times, have all published news coverage over the past week to their nationwide audience about the return of Aircoins and the country's crackdown efforts. Quote, safety concerns. Bunch of bullshit. Meanwhile, trading services of major exchanges by volume such as Huobi, OKX, and Binance, which still serve Chinese investors, have not been affected by the crackdown so far. That said, there are signs that these trading platforms have taken a step back, at least for the time being, in terms of their operations, marketing, and promotional activities. For instance, OKX's official Chinese language Weibo account had been regularly posting daily updates of cryptocurrency market analysis, announcements regarding listing certain tokens, and its jumpstart initial exchange offering activities. Yet, since November 14th, the firm's Weibo account has so far only been publishing posts on Blockchain 101 and news coverage about blockchain applications. On the other hand, the official Weibo accounts of Binance and blockchain project Tron are still suspended due to user complaints of violating laws, regulations, or Weibo's service terms. Further, many of the blockchain and crypto-themed events originally scheduled in Shanghai in recent weeks had been earlier canceled or scaled down, according to two event organizers who spoke under the condition of anonymity due to safety concerns. One organizer said the wave of cancellations was due to either safety reasons or venue providers declined to collaborate amid the crackdown news, even though the events were to discuss blockchain tech and crypto economics in general. The other organizer said events or meetups that did go ahead also turned down the scale by making it invite-only or nixing panels related to trading. The crackdown on exchanges and projects that are promoting speculation has also led to WeChat's ban of several accounts that publish content about crypto trading to subscribers. So far, the WeChat account of at least 3 bloggers, literally translated as, quote, OneCoin, Crypto Bond, and Trading Class, are all inaccessible on WeChat. Viewing the account's information leads to a page that states, quote, content is inaccessible as this account is banned after WeChat's reviews of users' complaints of the account violating related laws, regulations, and policies. Yeah, that's not going to work very long. I mean, the places where people are able to interface with willing parties are still going to continue on. Mostly, I'm sure they get these kind of like robocalls. You know, they get like flash messaged or something like that. And we've had them in our chat room multiple times in both Discord and Telegram. So it's nothing new to crypto. I don't know. I think that over the longer term, we're going to see that China is going to give up on all of this. You know, there's supposedly these big controlling totalitarians and whatnot, but I think that they too have interest to see to fitting, you know, and entertaining and whatnot, and making money on. And because of that, they're always going to use Bitcoin for illicit purposes on their own. And so that puts them in kind of a bind, because it's like they could risk jail or prison or something to that effect, but they could also make a shit ton of money. There's incentives on either side of the balance there. And just to follow that up, I got this one here. It's on BangkokPost.com. SEC to amend decree on digital asset businesses. And this was published November 25th, 2019 at 9 o'clock. I'm assuming that's AM. Let's see, writer was none to one Polkuamdi. My apologies. And let's just check something really quick, just to do it. See if we can get a clue here. Come on, Bangkok Post, load it. Give it to me now. It's not giving it to me. Come on. Not gonna wait forever. Alright, fuck you. Anyway, continuing on. Gender undetermined. Or sex, rather, undetermined. Gender and sex are not the same thing. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, plans to amend the Royal Decree on digital asset businesses next year, aiming to facilitate the growth of digital assets while protecting investors from unnecessary risk. Yeah, whatever. This is on the BangkokPost.com. The regulator is studying whether the Royal Decree has any areas that are stumbling blocks to digital asset businesses, said Ruanvadi Sawan Mongkol, Secretary General of the SEC. Quote, the regulator must be flexible to apply the rules and regulations in line with the market environment, she said. Quote, for example, laws should not be outdated and should serve market needs, especially for new digital asset products, and be competitive with the global market. We need to explore any possible obstacles. The Royal Decree took effect on May 14, 2018, and lists 4 types of secondary business intermediaries: digital exchanges, brokerage firms, dealers, and token portal service providers, also known as initial coin offering portals. The Royal Decree covers cryptocurrencies, digital tokens, and any other electronic data unit, as specified by the SEC. Exchanges, brokers, and dealers are required to apply for licenses from the Finance Ministry, while ICO portals must be approved by the SEC. Ms. Ruanvadi said many firms are keen to apply to become token digital issuers, but digital tokens and the ICOs must be offered to the public through ICO portal companies, and all 3 authorized by the SEC have not begun operations. Quote, the legislation also aims to protect investors from risk of fraud and deception by dishonest persons, money laundering, and exploitation of digital assets to facilitate illegal financial transactions, in other words, untaxed commerce, while ensuring regulatory clarity to facilitate legitimate uses of digital assets. Rapi Sacharita, the former SEC Secretary General, said last year. According to SEC data, 5 companies have been awarded digital asset exchange licenses. Among the 5, BitCub Online Co. Ltd. and Satag Pro Corporation are operating. Bitcoin Co. decided to shut down its digital asset exchange in Thailand in August, and 2 other companies, BitHerb Co. Ltd., BitHerb.net, and Huobi Thailand Co. Ltd. have yet to start operations. For digital asset brokers, the SEC has authorized licenses to 3 companies: CoinTH Co. Ltd., BitHerb.net, and Bitazaz Co. Ltd. The latter 2 have not commercially launched services. CoinTH Co. Ltd. is the sole digital asset dealer to win SEC approval. The list of ICO portal companies already approved by the SEC includes 3 companies: Longroot Thailand Co. Ltd., T-Box Thailand Co., and SE Digital Company Ltd. As per the royal decree, sellers of unauthorized digital tokens and those setting up unauthorized seminars to solicit cryptocurrency investment will be fined no more than twice the value of the digital transaction, or at least 500,000 baht. They could also face a jail term of up to 2 years. Investors who make digital asset-related trades will be liable for a 7% value-added tax VAT payment on top of the 15% withholding tax on capital gains and returns from such investments. Yeah, I don't see that just going over all that well. Retail investors will be exempt from VAT if they trade digital assets through exchanges. Those who have no capital gains will only pay VAT, but investors will be required to pay VAT if their trades produce no capital gains. Shit, taxing you on money you didn't make. Can you believe that shit? But yeah, I don't think this is going to go over all that well. For one thing, I think the regulators will simply be ignored, much as we're seeing here in the United States. You know, Bitfinex, by all accounts, shouldn't be doing business with anybody within the United States. As per the NYDFS's mandate, you know, they can make those kind of decisions. But yet they ramble on, which makes me believe that they're actually a proxy for these banks. Don't ask me to explain all of it, but there's just something about stablecoins and the way they've affected the market at large that make me believe that they're doing what they're doing specifically to devalue cryptocurrencies and at the behest of their masters, the bankers. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down with some music. And as far as where to go from here, played a lot of good stuff so far today. But I know we haven't played any COC though. Let's go with Vote with the Bullet here on Coin Metal. And that was 12-Foot Ninja with Coming For You. And, I got one little article here, and I think we can fit it in for the end of the evening. And this one is kind of interesting because I've been waiting for something like this. Whether or not it will actually provide us what the cryptocurrency space actually needs, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty eager to find out. Anyway, this is on technologyreview.com. Can photonic chips save Bitcoin? Cryptocurrency. I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that part. And this is by Emerging Technology from the ARXIV. This is published on November 21st, 2019. When the Bitcoin bubble burst at the end of 2017, the cryptocurrency's value dropped from over $17,000 to less than $7,000 in just a few days. Global news coverage suggested that the cryptocurrency boom appeared to have ended abruptly, but as Bitcoin's value dropped, something strange happened. The rate at which Bitcoins were being created or mined increased dramatically. The reason? Despite the fall in value, Bitcoin mining was still extremely profitable. In other words, the cost of mining, the price of the hardware plus the energy to run it, was still less than the value of the coins it produced. The mining boom continued for almost a year. Then in November 2018, Bitcoin's value dropped dramatically again, this time from $6,500 to less than $3,500. This pulled the rug from under many miners. Suddenly, Bitcoins were no longer valuable enough to cover their energy costs, and the mines were shuttered. For the first time in cryptocurrency's history, the rate of mining collapsed, falling from 60 exahashes per second to just 35. The impact was significant. Before this, mining had been geographically diverse, preventing one country or region from exerting undue influence. Now mining was possible only where energy was cheap enough to allow a profit, mainly in Western China, and China was increasing its scrutiny of cryptocurrencies, shutting exchanges, and banning various activities. This posed an existential threat to Bitcoin, and ever since cryptocurrency experts have been desperately looking for a fix. The fundamental issue is that Bitcoin mining is computationally expensive. This is a deliberate ploy to make the cryptocurrency secure, but computation is energy intensive, and as interest in the cryptocurrency has increased, so has the amount of energy it uses up. By some estimates, Bitcoin mining currently consumes over 75 terawatt hours per year, more than the entire electricity consumptions of Austria. That's not sustainable, particularly if Bitcoin continues to grow exponentially, as the cryptocurrency community hopes. So a new way to mine the currency is desperately needed. Enter Michael Dubrovsky at the nonprofit POWX, Marshall Ball at Columbia University in New York, and Bogdan Penkovsky at the University of Paris-Saclay in France. These guys have come up with a new way to secure Bitcoin that is computationally expensive, but much more energy efficient. Crucially, they say it is also compatible with the current encryption systems, and so should be relatively straightforward to include in future iterations of Bitcoin. Their secret sauce is simple. Instead of relying on conventional computers to do the number crunching, Dubrovsky and co. want to use optical computers. They say these devices use significantly less energy and so will fundamentally change the calculus behind Bitcoin mining. But are they right? For some background, Bitcoin is based on a decentralized ledger that records all transactions associated with the currency. This ensures that no single entity controls the currency. The idea is that the ledger must be secure so that everyone can trust its contents. The security is achieved by regularly encrypting the ledger so that its content cannot be changed. The encryption process must have special properties, however. The ledger must be extremely hard to encrypt, but once encrypted, it must be easy to check. It turns out that there are a set of mathematical objects called trapdoor functions that have exactly this property. Indeed, they are already widely used for encrypting everything from personal messages to credit card transactions. The form of encryption is computationally expensive. It requires powerful computers that are costly to run. So, Bitcoin has another feature that has been key to its success. Anyone who performs the encryption process, the proof of work, is rewarded with the newly created Bitcoins, assuming of course they actually get the block reward. That is why the process is called mining. As the value of Bitcoin has increased, the popularity of mining has increased too. But this has a downside. Computation is energy intensive, so miners have looked for various ways of reducing their costs. One development was the introduction of application-specific integrated circuits, or ASIC chips, that are optimized for the simple purpose of Bitcoin mining. Another was to find cheap sources of energy. Dubrovsky and co. say optical computing changes this calculus. They are inspired by the rapid development in recent years of photonic chips that can compute with much greater efficiency than silicon. The promise of the technology is to offer 2 to 3 orders of magnitude better energy efficiency over electronic processors, say the team. To that end, Dubrovsky and co. have come up with a revised encryption protocol called Heavy Hash. that is optimized for photonic computers. This means the best results can be achieved only by employing a photonic processor to do the number crunching. This, quote, optical proof of work should encourage the adoption of photonic chips and so dramatically reduce Bitcoin's power budget. Quote, the implementation of optical proof of work will help accelerate the development of energy-efficient photonic coprocessors, say the researchers. When the cost of energy is no longer the main consideration, Dubrovsky and co. say the cost of hardware will dominate the calculations, and that will ensure that miners can work profitably in locations all over the globe rather than only in regions where energy is cheap. At least that's the theory. The problem is that the power efficiency of photonic chips has yet to be clearly established. For example, optical switches work by changing their refractive index, and this is currently done with tiny heaters. Silicon photonic circuits also vary in small ways that must be compensated for with microheaters. These heaters significantly increase the power budget of the chips in ways that are hard to anticipate. Indeed, Dubrovsky and co. do not clearly predict the power savings that may or may not be possible as Bitcoin scales. That makes it hard to assess the efficacy of optical proof of work. Neither do the researchers show how optical proof of work will solve the problem associated with regional differences in the cost of power. In the future, the hardware costs will be similar for all miners as they are now. So, in the long term, the best way to maximize profits will still be to find cheap sources of energy. That's no different from the problem Bitcoin is currently facing, which is why it is hard to escape the conclusion that this form of energy-efficient computing merely postpones the inevitable. No, actually, it extends the life of Bitcoin for a bit longer. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And as far as our last dance is concerned, let's go ahead and go with a little bit of 9-inch nails here. Something short, something sweet. And here it is, if I can find it, Man with a Big Gun. Or a big man with a big gun. Last dance. Here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening. Good night.